Hi there, and welcome back to my channel, Margot and Me. Margot says hi. I promised I would show the route that I'll be on this summer, so here we go. So I'm doing it all on paper maps, mostly, at least the planning was on paper maps. I do have all of these routes segmented out by day in another app on my phone called Detect. It's spelled E-C-H-T at the end, Detect. It's specifically for motorcyclists. Got a couple of features there, connects to GPS, does all that tracking and so on. And I also picked up this little unit here, a Zoleo, designed, created, made in Canada. It's a satellite communication device. I fully expect I will be in some remote areas on this trip. So what happens with this is my phone connects to the Zoleo. The Zoleo connects to the satellite network so that I'm in constant touch with the satellite, with GPS, location, and all that stuff. So it'll help me with navigation in case I need it. And second, it's got a dedicated SOS button in the case of emergency. Hope I don't have to use that. But if I do, then 911 will know exactly where I am by GPS location through the satellite. So anyway, that's what that's for. But anyway, here's the route. Coming through Kindersley, Alsace, and so on. A nod to Marv. And then south Lethbridge, and spending the first night in Pincher Creek. So that's going to be the longest road of the longest ride of the whole road, 730 kilometers on day one. After that, it slows down a little bit. So from Pincher Creek, heading over into BC to Kimberley. There is an Indian Riders group, the Western Canadian Indian Riders gathering. For those 4 nights there, there are going to be a little over 200 riders from all across Canada, several of the states from south of the border, and one rider even from Czechia, which is really kind of cool. So we'll be doing some day rides in the area, and there'll be a banquet and a band in the evenings and raffles and all that kind of fun stuff. Get to meet some new riders, and then after that, after the 19th, on the 20th, I take off, and then the rest of the trip is solo. Down here around Kootenay Lake, and across the ferry to Nelson, and then Highway 3 across the south of BC. I've heard good things about that. I've never been on that road. I'm really looking forward to it. And then Princeton, and then I'll head up Highway 1 through Hell's Gate, spend a night in Cache Creek, and then I'm going to loop back. So I'm doing a bit of a circle here. Come back down, a stop in Kelowna for one night. I'm going to need an oil change somewhere on the trip. My bike is about halfway through its oil right now. I'm thinking by the time I get to Kelowna, it'll be oil change time. There's an Indian dealership there too, in case I need anything else for the bike. So if I get it done there, that will then get me all the way home before I need another oil change. Up to Salmon Arm for a few nights. There's a Blues and Roots music festival there. So that's gonna be 3 music festivals. That's the first one. A few nights there in an Airbnb. And then heading west to Lillooet, and then down the Sea to Sky Highway through Whistler to West Vancouver for a night. And then in the next morning, I'm really looking forward to this next ride, up the Sunshine Coast, a little bit of ferry hopping. I'm taking 3 ferries that day, and I'll end up on this little island here in the Gulf between the mainland and Vancouver Island called Texada Island, in a community called Gillies Bay. I'll be 5 nights there in a cabin just off the beach. Apparently the whales come up the strait there and sing sometimes at night. So that will be, I really hope that happens. Looking forward to seeing that and hearing that and spending those nights. There's another blues festival there. And this one's kind of cool because all the artists come from within 100 kilometers of Gillies Bay. So it'll be super unique, I think. Really looking forward to that. Then back on some ferries across to the Vancouver Island, which I'll ride tip to stern. Port Hardy for a night, across the Tofino. Man, is it expensive there, but I got to see it just for a night. And then back to Nanaimo, another blues music festival there. That's the 3rd and final of them. A few nights there, listening to some good music, and really hoping to squeeze in a visit with some family from Sook. BC while I'm in there. That's just not too terribly far away. You can see it at the south end there. Then on the 11th, the big trek north, across the ferry, back up the Sea to Sky Highway, and then we're headed north. A night in 100 Mile House, and then a night up in Prince George, where Craig lives. Craig is the fella from whom I bought the bike just over a year ago. So I'll stop in and say hi to him. Super nice guy. Back across Smithers for a night, and north, up to Dease Lake, getting close to the tip of BC. And then I'm going to cross into the Yukon. A night in Watson Lake the first time around. I'll come back through it later. Never been to the Yukon. Really looking forward to that. Cross to Whitehorse for a night the first time around. And then ending up the terminus of the trip in Dawson City, Yukon. A few nights there. That's going to be really fun. And then back down to Whitehorse. Again, another few nights there. That's also going to be really fun. And then it's the way home. Coming back across, I'll come back a bit of a different route. Take the Alaska Highway through BC, through Fort Nelson and Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, in reverse, and then back across northern Alberta. A night in Slave Lake, my last night on the road in Cold Lake, and then riding home on the last day of the trip through Meadow Lake and then back down to Saskatoon. Be a total of 11,000 kilometers leaving on July 14 and home, if all goes as planned, on August the 31st. Really looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing you the next time around.